Welcome back. It is a Friday, which means we bring you our weekly feature, Tech Base. This week we are focusing on cybersecurity. A Safer Internet Day was marked globally earlier this week. YouGov has also released a study which shows that many internet users in this country are still not doing enough to protect themselves. So 43% of us use one password for most or all of our online accounts. To discuss, we're joined by Jaco Du Toit, Deputy Director, Centre for Cybersecurity at the University of Johannesburg. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Du Toit. So, I am guilty as charged and I don't know what to do. So I know it's safer to have lots of different passwords, but you think, okay, then I'm either going to forget them. If I write them down, that is a huge security risk. What do you do?
What do you do? All right, the problem that we have is, of course, we have so many systems and each system demands its own username and password. And us as humans, frankly, we cannot remember these things. Passwords is the worst invention out there because we have to try and remember them, and it's simply just impossible.
Yeah.
So the real thing that we can strive towards is not to reuse passwords. But how do you do that? So the real answer is we have to start using what we call password managers. There's quite a few out there in the market.
I think Apple iPhones have a wallet or something.
There's normally an apps that you can download for it. I'm not sure if I can mention a few product names. There's a number of free ones.
You can be useful because I think people need advice on what to do.
So personally, I use one called LastPass. It's a cloud-based password management system. And what's nice with LastPass, and any of these ones really, in fact, is that it's like a vault, and you secure your vault with a really good password. So you think about a passphrase that consists of multiple unrelated words like staple, horse, battery.
Okay.
It's got nothing to do with each other.
That you'll remember.
But I will remember it. And I then use this password vault to store all my other passwords in. So I just have to remember this one password. If I go to a website, Facebook, Gmail, whichever site that I want to go to, and it asks me for a password, then I can use my vault. I extract the password that I store in there and I just copy it into my new site.
And do you have to remember to update your vault, or is this being done automatically?
What is nice is a lot of these vaults, LastPass included, it has add-ins that plugs into your browser. So whenever it detects that, for instance, let's say you have to change your password, and you do change it through the normal mechanisms, it will then update automatically into your vault. So you don't even have to remember this new password that you selected. In fact, you don't even have to generate a new password. You can let the vault generate one that's like 400 characters long, spit into the wind, uppercase, lowercase, you know, all these weird things that we normally need. So you can let that generate it for you.
Okay, so you're very safe. How unsafe are you if you're using one password and adding 0102, maybe a star or a hash or something?
All right. That is really unsafe. And what we have seen in the past month, there's been a huge leak of approximately 300 to 400 million usernames and passwords on the internet. Now, those are things that you might have used a few years ago, but as you rightly said, we reuse these things. So what happens is the attackers, they use what we call a credential stuffing. It's effectively where you go to a website and you start working through these databases. Now, there's 400 million accounts in there. The chances are that you have a few accounts in there is very big, and they start checking them. And they say, all right, let's see, Mr. Jaco Du Toit, this is your username, password, let's check it on Facebook. Okay, not successful. Let's try this one. And then they find ones that are successful. The problem is if you just use the same password and you add a little 1 or a 2 at the end, attackers these days write special programs, because they know it, that put a little program that automatically makes these changes and again guess and guess and guess until they eventually find one that do match, and then your account gets hijacked, and that's where the problem comes in.
All right, so let's bring up some of these findings by YouGov that I mentioned earlier. Another one, 34% of us, if we can bring that up. The second point, 34% of South Africans use two-step verification, so 1 in 3. For the uninitiated, what's two-step verification?
Okay, it's what we call multi-factor authentication. It means that when you get access to a system, you normally would provide a password, but then just to make things safe, you also have to provide something else. Now this something else can be something that's maybe on your cell phone or your mobile phone. So you would type in your password, you say enter, and then you will have to get a verification code. It's kind of like what you do with internet banking. And you say, yes, I'm actually logging onto the site now, and it is me because this is my cell phone. I have access to my cell phone. I have a special app installed on my cell phone. Yes, it is me. And then and only then does it allow. So there's two things that must always match up. It's the password and the second factor, which can be something that's on a cell phone or a fingerprint or whatever, but those things aren't that much used. It's most likely some sort of app that's on your cell phone that we use.
So a lot of apps, I think, phones are using your fingerprint, and there is those pins required by the banks. Is it all making us safer, out of interest?
Yes, it is. So the banking one is problematic for me at this stage, specifically for those banks that haven't migrated their, let's call it their second factor into an app, because of the SIM swap fraud that we've been seeing. So if you just get a normal number sent to your cell phone SIM card,
somebody takes your phone and you're
that's
exposed.
The problem that we have. But if you have an app installed on your phone and you protect your phone using a very good password, again, which maybe you can remember, or you can use your fingerprint, or you can use facial recognition or something like that, then at least it protects your phone, and someone has to have your password and have your phone and have access to your phone, which makes it a lot more difficult.
Last on the list, only 26% of us use tools like Google Security Checkup. What does that do, and what sort of tools are out there?
All right, so Google Security Checkup and things like Facebook Privacy Checkup are features built into existing systems to ensure that our privacy is protected. The problem
so this is about identity theft.
Identity theft. The problem that we have, specifically, I mean, with things like Facebook and so on, is you make a wrong configuration, and someone that is in the public domain can potentially get information about you on things like Facebook. And the problem with Google is that whenever we work with something on our Android phones or on Google browsers or on YouTube, that gets sent to Google and they know about it. So if someone then gets access to your private information, they know exactly what videos you've been watching, what searches you've been doing on the internet, what music you've been listening to, what apps you've been looking, and where you are physically moving, because these Android phones, they track us, where we're going.
Is this if you hook into Google itself?
That's right. So typically, if
you're just a general browser, there's a collection, but they can't link it to you specifically.
Right. That is correct. The challenge that we have, though, is a lot of internet users these days also have an Android phone, and the problem with that is the default settings in Android tracks these things. So if you do stuff on your Android phone, Google knows about it.
So I think you've picked up the major problem, default settings, and there's just so many. There's so many terms and conditions. There's so many hideaways for these settings on social media, across internet usage. What do? Do you just become more au fait? Do you just keep reading?
Sure. I think the challenge is, and I mean, we've heard from our president now that South Africa is gearing itself now for the fourth industrial revolution. And the problem or the challenge that we face is that everything is on the internet, as you rightly said. We have to gain some kind of skill set or awareness of what our exposure is. And there's a specific careers that I believe that we will start seeing in the future, where we have privacy consultants that says, listen, we have looked at your profile on the internet and we feel that it's more exposed than you're supposed to. You can enable this and this. So in the future, I believe we're going to see new careers coming out that helps us to protect ourselves with these
and
things.
Hopefully they're not collecting the data.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, give me a top three. Top three things to protect yourself.
Okay, top three. I think one of the biggest challenges that we still have in South Africa are phishing attacks. Never click on links in emails that you don't trust. In fact, don't ever click on links in emails anyway. Second thing, don't reuse passwords. Use a password manager, as I said, and then just read as much as possible. Become more aware.
And children on the internet, finally, such a special concern.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a father of two kids, and they're both daughters. And the internet for me is like a highway, and it's cars driving on it. And I have to take accountability and responsibility for my kids. I have to teach them what is safe and what is not safe on the internet. The challenge that we have is, unfortunately, the kids know more than the parents do. And we have, as parents, we have to take that responsibility really seriously. We have to start reading up. We have to limit screen time on our kids, and unfortunately, we have to audit what they do on the internet. We have to take control of which sites they're going to, what they're doing, how much time they spend on it, because we don't want to get into a situation where they accidentally expose something about themselves and then gets abused, bullying, copyright issues. Those are all issues that our kids will have to learn how to handle, and we as parents have to take responsibility and accountability for that.
All right, so be very vigilant, but thank you for those practical tips. Very useful. That was Jaco Du Toit, Deputy Director for the Centre of Cybersecurity at the University of Johannesburg.